What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of CryptoZombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having an awesome day, an awesome week. I know someone who's having a good week. Well, pretty much anyone who's holding Bitcoin right now is having a phenomenal week. Bitcoin up over 13%. We got above 13,000 overnight. Had a slight pullback, but not a major crash. Nothing crazy, right? Bitcoin just keeps pumping, consolidating sideways. Then we go into another pump. We consolidate sideways and we go into another pump. So when will this end? Is this actually about to be the beginning of the major retail, institutional, global FOMO for Bitcoin? Well, I want to talk about one Bitcoin critic, one Bitcoin cynic who actually recently came out and said, you know what? I think I was wrong. Bitcoin actually is pretty good. So we're going to talk about people changing their minds on Bitcoin. Of course, everybody's piling in when the price gets higher, right? I want to discuss the fact that Bitcoin has actually already hit an all-time high, not in US dollars, but in 7 different local currencies of countries that are experiencing hyperinflation. Bitcoin has actually already hit an all-time high, proving that Bitcoin is a hedge against the global economic turmoil out there today. I want to discuss the PayPal effect. People are calling it the PayPal effect, show you some official announcements and some speculation from what PayPal could potentially be doing in the upcoming year. And yeah, we kind of might have some bad news for Goldbugs, but some good news for Bitcoin. There has been some news that came out about gold, and could it potentially be driving a lot of Goldbugs to turn to Bitcoin? Now, keep in mind, gold has, well, I don't know the market cap off the top of my head, but I know it's higher than 8 trillion. It's definitely more than that. Imagine just a fraction of that coming into Bitcoin and what that could do to the price. So if all that sounds good to you today, definitely get subscribe, get excited. If you're not excited by now, I don't know. You just have probably a chemical imbalance or something like that. But we're going to hop into the charts today. Hopefully we won't have any flashing yellow orbs that were in the video yesterday. Problem with the rendering. But all right, that's enough. Let's hop in. Let's have a look at the chart. So, I mean, all of our analysis is really a lot of the previous resistances. Bitcoin just keeps pushing higher and higher and higher. I mean, we may come down and retest around the $12,480 level. We have a pretty significant zone right here around 11,800. Yeah, I mean, we're starting to get into uncharted territory, my friends. There's not a lot we really have to go off once we start getting to these levels. Bitcoin could really shoot up to any potential level. Now, I do just want to show you one, not to say that I'm bearish. I am the farthest person from bearish, but I do want to show you one sort of interesting fractal that we can have a look at right here. And you can kind of see that Bitcoin, it's not really a full head and shoulders pattern, but I do want to show you, we put in a high right here, we came down, we put in a higher high, we came back down, and we put in another lower high. Meanwhile, the entire bottom of the trend was sloping up, and then Bitcoin did have this dump from about 12,000 all the way down to 9,800, right? Now, having a look at what we're doing right now, it doesn't look similar, and keep in mind, this is on a lower time frame. This is the 30-minute, okay? So that's why the chart is more pronounced. It's, you know, this one is obviously a lot smoother looking. It's on the 12-hour, but having a look right here, look, we do have this sort of, lower high right here, higher high blast off with another lower high, and we are going up again in the same slant. So, could we be looking for that retest, that pullback? Well, I mean, according to this, lower time frame chart, even if we were to do that, that would only bring Bitcoin just back down to about the $12,000 to $12,400 level, which still puts Bitcoin significantly higher from where we were last week, and especially higher than where we were in the beginning of the year. But I did retweet this on my Twitter. Like Charles Edwards says, he says this pump is organically spot driven. There's almost no order book resistance. Yes, things can change quickly. It's crypto, but this is a very healthy move, something we've never seen before a $12,000 Bitcoin, at this time. And in the past, we did see it very different. It wasn't necessarily organically spot driven. There was a lot of futures markets, a lot of things like that driving price. Whereas now we're actually seeing this as a healthy Bitcoin move. But if you do want to talk about these futures, we're still having a beautiful breakout from this triangle formation where we had the consolidation. And yeah, I mean, anything above $12,450, Bitcoin is still looking incredibly bullish. And we are sort of in the middle zone on these horizontal I always say that, diagonal lines right here, and you could see that we're kind of in the middle zone, the no man's land, right? If Bitcoin was to go lower, we might retest back around the low 11,000s, high 10,000s, but if we pump up to this next level, you're talking Bitcoin getting to around $14,400, $14,500 on this next move, and things could get very crazy very fast. Now, in all complete honesty, I wouldn't mind a little bit of a cool off. I'm all for Bitcoin blasting off to the moon, but what I want and what's going to happen, they might be two different things. But I would like an opportunity to just have a quick retest of the previous resistance, flip its support, get that confirmation, healthy retracement, and then continue, right? That would be what we want. Or we could just keep pumping. I mean, that is a possibility as well. Even Weiss Crypto Ratings is coming out saying Bitcoin seems to be decoupling from stocks with a parabolic rise in recent days. Let's hope it doesn't lose steam. But, you know, shout out to Willy Woo, man. He called this back in September, and he said Bitcoin will decouple from traditional markets soon. And that was the theme of yesterday's video, by the way. But, you know, driven by its internal adoption S-curve, think startup style growth. And we'll get back to that idea in a second here. He says, rather than changes in perceptions as hedging instruments, he says if you want to see the data behind the upcoming decoupling of Bitcoin from the stock market, you can look at this Glassnode data that shows active users of Bitcoin after filtering for unique players, which ignores multiple wallet addresses. And you could see this is definitely curving to the upside. I mean, you know, anyone could clearly see that that's what's happening. But how crazy is it that Oliver Rennick, and he was over for TD Ameritrade, and even he, who has been a Bitcoin critic, a skeptic, he came out and actually had to give Bitcoin its props where it was due. And I just want to play this clip super quick because it's always nice to see these guys kind of flip their opinions, and then we're going to continue talking about it.
Possibly the most exciting. And again, this one I don't want to get carried away with too far just yet, because we've seen it be a heartbreaker before. But it's Bitcoin. For those that have watched me cover Bitcoin for the last 3 years since we started this program, you'd probably call me a cynic. And I generally still am. The things that the Bitcoin bulls, the big bulls, want to happen still has a lot to go. But right now, if Bitcoin breaks higher, while the stock market's not responding to the lower dollar and stimulus, it is the most positive thing for the Bitcoin bugs that they have had since I've started looking at the thing since we started covering this 3 years ago. Because it suggests that Bitcoin is also where stimulus is coming, but investors are more interested in owning that than the stock market.
So investors are more interested in owning Bitcoin than stocks right now. And that is directly from Oliver Rennick's mouth. Now, Josh Rager did have an interesting tweet, and I found this data to be quite interesting. I do know a lot of people have been getting involved in altcoins. As you know, guys, I am a primary Bitcoin holder. I'm not saying I don't believe in altcoins. I just personally utilize altcoins to make more Bitcoin. At the end of the day, I am focused on Bitcoin. I think that's been pretty obvious if you follow this channel. But, you know, altcoins are there for potential gains, but you can also get super wrecked. But having a look right here, look at this, 90% to 100%, 22% out of 5,000 people said that they hold about 90 to 100% Bitcoin. 23%, 51 to 80%, which means that 50% are holding more than 50% Bitcoin, which is good to see. I feel like if this was from a few years ago, you would see 10% Bitcoin, 90% altcoins, right? Yeah, so like if you're new to crypto, I know Bitcoin can come across as boring. Maybe you're not going to make those sick gains, but it is the safe hedge, especially in the crypto space, right? And the world is certainly waking up. In fact, we're all anticipating an all-time high for Bitcoin over here, you know, as far as US dollar is concerned. But if you have a look over here on CoinDance local Bitcoin volumes, you can actually see that Bitcoin volume has spiked in a lot of these countries that have been having this hyperinflation, right? You can see Argentina spiked right here, Chile as well, Colombia growing as well. Obviously, Western countries, not so much. Dominican Republic had a nice recent match lately. Egypt is actually up. And interestingly enough, Alistair Milne, he wrote, countries where Bitcoin has already hit an all-time high in their local currency include Brazil, Turkey, Argentina, Sudan, Angola, Venezuela, and Zambia. And he says soon we have Russia and Colombia as well. and then eventually all fiat currencies. And then Bitcoin will be in an all-time high. But I was checking my PayPal, and this is a screenshot from this morning. Crypto's coming to PayPal. I am seeing this for real on my app right now. So this is showing me that everybody else is seeing this too. This is getting people excited. It's showing that it's legitimate. And yes, we did go over the pros and cons of this move yesterday. But as you can see right here, today we are launching a new service that will enable customers to buy, hold, and sell cryptocurrency directly from their PayPal account. And guess what? This is the actual video that's circulating right now. But someone who's not too excited about it is Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple. He says 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Great to see a payment pioneer leaning in, but disappointing to see some fundamental tenets, benefits of crypto are spurned. I suspect PayPal is concerned about the, wait for it, regulatory uncertainty impacting its rollout on a number of levels. But interestingly enough, there is one theory, and this is from Meltem Demirors. She's CSO at digital asset management firm CoinShares. She says that she wouldn't be surprised if PayPal rolls out its own token soon. She says, I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 6 to 12 months we see PayPal launching its own digital currency similar to a digital dollar that we see in many payment companies. So first, PayPal ditches Libra, and then they adopt Bitcoin. So what do you think about that? Well, let's talk about an issue that Goldbugs could be having soon. So some $76 billion worth of gold has been discovered in Siberia, with Russia's biggest gold miner stating it is the largest gold deposits in the world. The Sukhoi Log mineral reserve contains 40 million ounces of proven reserves, with an average gold content of 2.3 grams per ton, worth about $76 billion. Now, we've spoke about potential mining of gold on asteroids. We've talked about gold underneath the ocean. But now we're just finding gold right up, straight up on the land, and this will devalue, the amount of gold because you're increasing the supply. This is something that Bitcoin does not have a problem with. We know the supply. It's easy to calculate. It's predictable based on the Bitcoin miners mining block rewards and how much is released each day. With gold, we never know when we're going to come across another mine that's going to flood more gold into the market. Plus, gold is also just hard to verify, right? There's lots of fake gold floating around. So is this potentially going to drive some of the gold bugs into Bitcoin if we continue to discover all of this new gold, right? Demand stays the same, supply increases. Simple economics, right? Also, in addition, they found another 256,000 ounces worth $500 million that have been discovered in Iran. So yeah, if we just continue to keep finding and mining all of this newer gold and Bitcoin continues to get harder and scarcer, which one do you think is actually going to perform better? In fact, we've seen guys like Raoul Pal saying that they're going to come out and switch from gold into Bitcoin. And if you haven't seen this interview that was over on Squawk Box, Paul Tudor Jones, who was one of the investors recently that came out and said he was putting 2% of his portfolio allocated into Bitcoin, has now come out and basically said Bitcoin is like investing with Steve Jobs and Apple, and he compares it to almost a tech stock, and he says that a lot of other people are, most likely going to be looking into it as well. And I just took a clip from the interview, and this is kind of how he says, his mind was changed, his perception was changed as far as Bitcoin. Now, he already went into the fact that it's a hedge, against inflation, all that, but listen to this clip real quick.
Bitcoin has a lot of the characteristics of being an early investor in a tech company. And I didn't realize it until after, unfortunately, I came on your show and got besieged by God knows how many different people on Bitcoin. And again, I've got a small single-digit investment in Bitcoin. That's it. I'm not a Bitcoin flag bearer. But what I learned was, and what I was so surprised by, is that Bitcoin has this enormous contingent of really, really smart and sophisticated people who believe in it. And now when I think of the menu of the inflation hedges, the thing that Bitcoin has, again, it's like investing with Steve Jobs and Apple or investing in Google early. You've got this group that's, by the way, crowdsourced all over the world that are dedicated to seeing Bitcoin succeed in it becoming a commonplace store of value and transactional to boot at a very basic level. And so I've never had an inflation hedge where you have a kicker that you also have great intellectual capital behind it. So that makes me even more constructive on it. If you think about it, if you're long 2s30s, right, you're effectively short the bond market. That's your inflation hedge. You're really betting on the fallacy of mankind rather than its ingenuity and entrepreneurialism. So I like Bitcoin even more now than I did then.
So he likes Bitcoin now even more than he did then. So, talking about a little bit of crypto news today and getting on out of here, guys, we do have a big announcement that came from Unstoppable Domains. You can see that now you can verify them using your Twitter account. Now, this is going to be super beneficial, especially for phishing and things like that. Also, just to simply verify, right? It can definitely be scary out there, especially if you're new to cryptocurrency. There are a lot of scams out there, but right now they have the Twitter authentication service that lets .crypto domain holders verify address ownerships via My Ether wallet app. The feature is powered by Chainlink, not surprised, oracles, which connect each .crypto address from Unstoppable Domains to a public Twitter username. The firm said the Twitter authentication could help stem crimes in cryptocurrency payments like phishing hacks, etc. The verification is confirmed on-chain, where users are visually notified over whether the recipient they are sending the funds to is legitimate. How nice is that to actually be alerted whether or not you are sending it to the correct address or not? According to My Ether Wallet's founder, it's time to remove fraudulent practices from blockchain payments. Adding your Twitter handle to your blockchain address provides a missing layer of transparency to make crypto safer. And if you're not familiar with Unstoppable Domains, they are in fact supported by Tim Draper, and essentially it creates readable human names, essentially, right? You just whatever, kdub.crypto or steven.crypto or nancy.crypto. I don't know. Literally could be anything that you want. And within that domain, you can actually host websites too as well, which are not able to actually be censored. But then also for addresses, you can simply go to somebody like, hey, you could just send it to whatever my name is .crypto, and they don't have to type in this long string of addresses. And on top of it, within it, it also does have its own little chat feature, and kind of like in PayPal, you can just, and WhatsApp, you can send money back and forth to individuals, just by clicking on their name. Really cool. These guys have come a long way. If you're interested, definitely check out the link below in the description. I do have a link if you guys want to use it. Obviously, you do help to support the channel, but definitely check it out. These guys are awesome. Unstoppable Domains. And that is it for me today. So thank you so much for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. You're the reason that I do this every single day. My name is KDub. This is CryptoZombie. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.